Situated on the San River in current southeastern Poland, Przemyśl was home to Polish Jews and Ukrainians for years. Before the Second World War, approximately 24,000 Jews lived in Przemyśl, making up about 35% of its population, with 49% Catholic Poles and 16% Greek Catholic Ukrainians. Jewish people built 4 synagogues, including the Temple Synagogue, a place of worship for progressive Jews. They created trade associations, Jewish schools and banks, and functioned as a well-organized community. Jews were also represented in the local government. In 1928, Jews won 18 of the 48 seats on the city council. Przemyśl. The Germans first bombed Przemyśl on 7 September 1939. The following day, they continued by setting fire to buildings. 15 September 1939, Poles try to defend the city against the Nazis, but they are too weak. The resistance lasts only a few days. The retreating Polish army blew up the main road bridge to impede the entry of aggressors. Today, only the railway bridge remains. Germans enter the city. The Ukrainians of Przemyśl build a triumphal gate welcoming the Germans into their city. They hope for a Ukrainian state under German protection. During this time, 15-year-old Jewish student Renye wrote a diary. She could never have guessed it would be published in the U.S. and used as an historical document. Spiegel is considered the Polish Anne Frank. It is an incredible historical and psychological document, as well as the authentic literary achievement. It is a great discovery. Renye and her younger sister Elizabeth were separated from their mother for 2 years and placed in their grandparents' home in Przemyśl.
Now I live in Przemyśl at my granny's, but honestly speaking, I have no home, and that is why I sometimes get so sad I have to cry. I cry, though I don't miss anything. No dresses, no sweets, no strange and precious dreams. I only miss my mummy and her warm heart. I learn French now, and if there is no war, I might go to France. I was supposed to go before, but Hitler took over Austria, then Sudetenland, Czechoslovakia, and who knows what he will do next. In a way, he affects my life too.
Diary of Renye Spiegel, April 2, 1939. 16 to 19 September 1939. Germans immediately begin to humiliate the Jewish inhabitants and arrest members of the Jewish intelligence, physicians, lawyers, industrialists, and political activists. Germans murder at least 500 Jews in Przemyśl. Jews were taken to nearby woods, shot, and buried in communal graves. On such a large scale, this is the first massacre of Jews during World War II. 28 September, the Demarcation line. Poland was attacked simultaneously by Nazi Germany from the west and Soviet Russia from the east. When the two powers' armies met, Hitler and Stalin set a demarcation line to divide the two empires from each other. The line leads exactly through the city of Przemyśl, along the river. Shortly before the withdrawal, the Germans burnt down the old synagogue, the Klois, the Hasidic prayer house, the Temple Synagogue, and parts of the Jewish quarter. The only border crossing became a railway bridge. Before Germany began mass Jewish extermination, they attempt to banish Jews to the Soviet side, and as a result, in April and May 1940, approximately 7,000 Jews were deported by Germany to the Soviet side of the city. In February 1940, Przemyśl's inhabitants were deported by trains and cattle cars to Siberia, where they were forced to do slave labor in uninhabitable conditions. June 1941. Operation Barbarossa. Germans invade the Soviet Union. Until the German invasion of the Soviet Union, Renye Spiegel was living on the Soviet side of the city. As the Germans began to invade part of Operation Barbarossa, Renye fell in love with a student named Zygmunt Schwarzer. They first kissed on 20 June 1941.
We were together, alone, just the two of us. The sun had already set, stars began to appear in the sky. The moon came out too, and we were sitting next to each other and talking. When we were about to leave, I got all the ways completely mixed up. It was dark and we couldn't find our way back home. It was such an unexpected and sweet and confounding evening before Zygo said, "Renye, give me a kiss." Before I even realized what was going on, he kissed me. I felt terribly embarrassed. He wanted to kiss me again, but I couldn't. I was all trembling. I can't write anything more now. I've got to think and dream.
At the time of Operation Barbarossa, about 17,000 Jews lived in Przemyśl. Nazis immediately began rounding up Jews for forced labor. During the following year, Jews were forced to hand over their valuables and various household goods. Those who did not comply with the Nazi decrees were beaten and imprisoned. By 1942, the relationship between Renye and Zygmunt, now 2 years later, took on a more passionate tone.
Now I know what the word ecstasy means. I almost understand it. It is indescribable. It is something that is best, which only two loving creatures can do. And for the first time, I felt this longing to become one, to be one body and to feel more.
But 5 days after writing about what appears to be the consummation of their relationship with Zygmunt, Renye's diary was filled with images of chaos and despair.
Wherever I look, there is bloodshed. There is killing, murder. God, for the umpteenth time, I humble myself in front of you. Help us. Save us. God, let us live. I beg you. I want to live. I had so little of life. My life has been so petty, so unimportant, so small. Today, I worry about being ugly. Tomorrow, I might stop thinking forever.
By June 14, there were more ominous signs.
Panic in the city. We fear a pogrom. We fear deportations.
Germans now inform Jewish residents of the ghetto's creation. 6 August 1942. Jews are set to move in. They are allowed only 15 kilograms of luggage per person. From that point forward, it is illegal for Jews to leave the ghetto. For the Poles, there are harsh punishments if they are caught helping Jews. Renye, Elizabeth, and her grandparents were captured.
Today at 8 o'clock, we have been shut away in the ghetto. I live here now. The world is separated from me, and I am separated from the world.
Between 22 and 24,000 Jews live in the ghetto in Przemyśl. Thanks to Zygmunt, Renye and Elizabeth escaped from the ghetto before they were exterminated. They hid in a cemetery. The following day, Zygmunt hands Elizabeth off to a Christian family, and Renye hides in his uncle's house. 28 July 1942, Renye and Zygmunt's parents were hidden in the attic of his uncle's building at 10 Moniuszki Street. Zygmunt's uncle, Samuel Gallagher, was a member of the Judenrat, the Jewish council the Nazis put in place to administer ghettos throughout the Third Reich. Judenrat members are allowed to live outside the ghetto's walls. In her final diary entry, a panic-stricken Renye pleads with God to protect her.
Hear, O Israel, save us, help us. You have kept me safe from bullets and bombs, from grenades. Help me to survive. Help us.
2 days later, Nazis surround 10 Moniuszki Street, and Renye and Zygmunt's parents are hauled outside. All three are shot dead in front of the building. A day later, Zygmunt returns to the house from his own hiding place to find Renye's diary and adds his own denouement. 3 shots, 3 lives lost, he wrote. It happened last night at 10:30 p.m. Fate has decided to take my dearest ones away from me. My life is done. All I can hear are shots, shots, shots. My dearest Renye, the last chapter of your diary is complete. Decades later, no one knows who gave up Renye's hiding place.
It's an enigma. We are not sure if it was the Polish neighbors or members of the Judenrat who gave them up.
On the first day of the Action, 6,000 Jews are deported to the death camp at Belzec. The elderly, handicapped, ill, and some children, approximately 2,500 people, are taken in trucks to and other places on the outskirts of the city. They are shot and buried in a number of mass graves. Polish citizen Władysław Trojanowski describes one of the deportation actions. Jews were ordered to jump from the balcony of the first floor to the substituted trucks. Those who were broken or fell off the car were shot on the spot. On the second day, 3,000 Jews are deported to Belzec, and on the third day of August 1942, 3,000 more are sent. At the end of the Action, the Jews were forced to turn over a sum of money to the Gestapo, ostensibly to defray the deportation transportation costs. By the end of August, the Gestapo had murdered 100 more Jews in Przemyśl. During these mass deportations, Józef Bushminski witnessed the following scene from his hiding place near the ghetto fence. It was from this hiding place that Bushminski saw an SS officer named Kidash catch a Jewish woman holding an 18-month-old baby in her arms. She held the baby in her arms and began asking for mercy, that she be shot first, leaving the baby alive. From behind the fence, there were Poles who raised their hands, ready to catch the baby. The woman was about to hand the baby over to the Poles when Kidash took the baby from her arms and shot her twice. He then took the baby into his hands and tore him as one would tear a rag. In February 1943, SS Josef Schwamberger took over as Section A. The ghetto commander was exceptionally sadistic and was called by Jews Malach HaMoves, meaning angel of death. I recall how Schwamberger killed 20 or 30 people himself. He used to enter the ghetto and kill for no reason, said Sam Nussbaum, Przemyśl citizen. When the second Action came on 18 November 1942, more than 8,000 Jews without work permits were slated for deportation. Only 3,500, however, showed up at the concentration point. The rest of the Jews were hiding in bunkers. After the second Action, the ghetto was divided into 2 sections. Section A was primarily workers, and Section B was for everyone else. The liquidation of Section B began on 2 September 1943. During this Action, 3,500 Jews, most of whom were hiding in bunkers, were rounded up and sent to Auschwitz. 1 week later, after the beginning of the final Action, the commander of the GPK, Rudolf Benowitz, stated that all Jews who reported for resettlement voluntarily would go to a work camp. 1,580 Jews gave themselves up. On 11 September 1943, after they had undressed and surrendered their valuables, they were shot in the yard of the Judenrat building of Copernica Street in groups of 50. Their corpses were burned where they fell during the days following the execution. From October 1943 to April 1944, the Nazis continued to search for Jews in hiding, finding and killing about 1,000. These executions were carried out by the Gestapo, SS, and Schwamberger. The Gestapo realized that the numbers show that about 1,200 people are still hiding in the ghetto. They move energetically to search. Police with dogs and sappers turned the ghetto upside down, says Władysław Trojanowski, a witness to these events. The ghetto was destroyed at the end of February 1944, which in theory means that Przemyśl was Judenfrei, or free of Jews. However, about 400 Jews managed to survive the war. Despite the threat of death if they were caught, many Poles helped Jews. With their assistance, medicine, clothing, and food was smuggled into the ghetto. A number of escapes from the ghetto were also organized. About 500 Przemyśl Jews survived the war thanks to Poles who hid them, endangering not only their own lives but also the lives of their families. Germans murdered 568 Poles in Przemyśl alone for helping Jews. In Przemyśl, there was a branch of the Lvov district for aid to Jews called Żegota. There were also Poles who, hoping for a reward of Jewish valuables, denounced or blackmailed Jews in hiding, ordering them to pay for silence. Such attitude, called Schmalkovnichko, were met with the condemnation and disapproval, and the courts of the underground Polish state often issued death penalty on these people. In 1939, at age 14, Stefania Podgorska began working in a shop in Przemyśl, belonging to the Jewish Diamant family. During the German occupation in 1942, together with her 6-year-old sister Helena, they hid 13 Jews for 15 months in a locker in the attic of the house. All of them survived. In 1996, a movie titled Hidden in Silence was created about their story. Thanks to the commitment of Simon Wiesenthal, Holocaust survivor Josef Schwamberger was found in Argentina, arrested and deported to Germany, where he received a life sentence. Schwamberger died in 2004 at the age of 92.
5th of May 1990, Stuttgart Airport. After nearly half a century of exile in Argentina, Josef Schwamberger returns to Germany. The 78-year-old has not come of his own free will. For decades, the famous Nazi hunter Simon Wiesenthal has pursued him and worked for his extradition.
War der Kommandant des Ghettos in Przemyśl, verantwortlich.
He was commandant of the ghetto in Przemyśl, responsible for many murders.
The arrival was covered by the press and television, and many people felt sorry for Schwamberger.
Naturally, an old man brought to trial. People felt pity for him, but he never showed pity for the people at his mercy.
What happened to Renye's diary? In 1943, a year after Renye's death, Zygmunt was sent to Auschwitz. He survived his internment at the death camp only because its notorious Dr. Josef Mengele pronounced him fit for slave labor. After the war, Elizabeth immigrated to New York City with her mother. Zygmunt did the same, and years later found Renye's family and presented her diary to them.